All right. Well, welcome, welcome. I'm super excited to have our friend Chase Smith on with us. He is from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and he used to be from Colorado and hopefully moving back at some point. But we are here to talk about the long haul, about his journey and kind of how he got involved in becoming a coach, not through his journey, actually of becoming more fit and he's still on that journey. And the thing is we wanted to be able to bring him on because it is a long haul. It is not a destination. It is a journey. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have some tough times, and but you got to push through. So welcome, Chase. I'm so happy to have you. Eric is here with us as well. What's up?
Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Oh, I was like, Erica. So of course, we have Erica down there. She's at the bottom down here. I don't know where she's at on anybody else's.
Over here. You're over here and he's down there.
So that's my view. So welcome, Chase. Tell us a little bit about yourself and just
jump into
how
it.
all this came about for you.
Yeah,
becoming
sure.
a coach, helping other people to meet their health goals.
Yeah, so I always say like my journey, it started technically in 2019, but as we all know, like our journeys basically started since the day we're born, right? So like just kind of like going back a little bit, I was always the bigger kid growing up and really struggled with relationship with food, even at a really younger age, and even through like countless like coaching sessions and therapy and things like that. But it's been discovered that it's gone even back further than like I initially thought, and but like even into my teenage years, continued to put on the weight, was really struggling with binge eating during that time as well. It really got worse though around when I was like 15 or 16 years old, and continued every year, probably since I was like 12 or 13. I'd try to diet every single year. It was always New Year's resolution. I'm going to get fit. This is my year. This is going to be my year every single year. I would lose 20, 30 pounds, whatever it may be, and then get sick of the diet. Or, a lot of times I'd start to see a plateau. And that was like, honestly, like it gave me that reason to quit because I already hated the diet anyway. So it was like, oh, yep, keto's not working anymore. Well, actually, it was Atkins when I was doing it. It was like Atkins isn't working anymore, so I'm just gonna quit it. And then I would end up just gaining all the way back and then some more. Up until 2019, that at the beginning of 2019, I was 382 pounds when I started, and just not feeling great about my relationship with food, myself, lack of self-confidence, was not active at all other than my job. I had a very busy job. I was working as a registered nurse at the time. I've been a registered nurse since 2015, worked in psych and mental health, and I worked in the ER. And in 2019, a friend and coworker that I was working with at the psych hospital, she challenged me to a weight loss challenge. She was like, "Hey, like I know you want to lose weight. I want to lose weight as well. Let's hold each other accountable and sort of challenge with each other." I was like, "Sure, why not?" Like honestly, just thought it was gonna be another just weight loss attempt that just like every other year. I actually, funny enough, started with intermittent fasting in the very beginning of this, just because I thought like that was the thing at the time that I needed to do to lose weight. This is before I knew much about what the proper ways of doing this was. Which is funny, right? Because I was a nurse and have taken an entire semester nutrition course. Funny enough, I actually hated the nutrition course. And because at the time it wasn't valuable to me and I didn't care about, I didn't care about putting it into my own use. And so 2019, I was losing weight pretty quickly, and my friend and I were holding each other accountable. We did such a competition pretty early on just because I had a lot more weight to lose than she did. So it's kind of like a little unfair advantage on my part. So I was like, I don't want her to feel like discouraged that she's not, winning. So that's a challenge, but still hold each other accountable. That year, I also started working with my coach in August of 2019. My very first coach. I met him back in April of that year, but didn't hire him until August. And lost over 100 pounds that year. Was feeling really great about everything. It was actually starting to feel like it's actually going to work this time. Was learning more about nutrition, what a calorie deficit was. Like that's all it's required for weight loss. Like I don't need to do anything crazy. I don't need to restrict myself. I don't need to do anything, extreme. It was just all about taking control of my nutrition, creating awareness around those things, and getting some activity movement in. 2020, I started to put a little more emphasis into my workouts. I was in 2019, I was working out. I started out going to the gym day one even, but it wasn't until about like 2020 when I actually started to learn more about like, free weights and things like that. And also that's when I hired another coach who did personal training, because my first coach was just nutrition, and hired my personal trainer, who eventually took over my nutrition as well. And throughout that year continued to just, that's when, we know that's when COVID happened. So that's when, just all the mess of being a nurse and all that, still managed the result that I was getting. Got into running for a short amount of time when the gym shut down. And then 2021, I started travel nursing. That's when I went to Charleston, South Carolina. That's when I went out to Colorado. And that's also when I started to struggle again with relationship with food. Actually, started to relapse with binge eating again during that time. Worked through that with a therapist for a little bit of time, worked with a binge eating coach, and kind of got through a lot of that. 2022, I continued to work on strength training and just repair my relationship with food. In June of last year, I hired another coach to work on powerlifting after one of my good friends. She won the national championship for powerlifting in her weight class. So when she won that, really inspired. And I went to the meet with her and as a friend. And so I got to witness that. And I was like, all right, I want to do this myself now. So I hired a powerlifting coach, and I have my first meet in 3 weeks from now.
I'm fun.
That's exciting.
That is
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. So a question I have for you is, because you talk a lot about, the hiring coaches, because we all do that. We're all nutrition coaches, and me and Erica are also do we're personal training certified, but we do more on the nutrition side now. That's what we did before. It's kind of how we met was through online coaching, sharing a class during 2020. And but you talk a lot about the coaches and the therapists and all this. So that's something I think people struggle with, as far as feeling like they can do it on their own. What's your thought on that? Because it sounds like you've gone through multiple coaches, and this isn't a point, but it is an accountability thing. Do you feel like trying to do it on your own? You've done that. And then what goes through your mind that was like, okay, that's what I have to do? That was the final decision. You can't do it on your own.
So I definitely made a ton of progress the first year when I first started my journey. Like I said, starting 2019, I met my first nutrition coach in April. Like I said, though, I didn't hire him though until August. And in April, when I first met him, he offered nutrition coaching to me, and I was honest with him. I was like, I'm doing great. I don't feel like I need that help right now. Thank you, but it's a little out of my budget for the moment. Like, I just didn't see the value in it because I was seeing so many results by myself. And then in August, I had been struggling for like a month or two of like really trying to stay consistent, and also just kind of hitting that quote unquote plateau basically, and not able to get past that. So that's when he reached out to me again and was like, hey, like, I would love to help get you through this plateau. Here's some things that I'm thinking we need to make some changes to. And I was like, all right, here's my card, sign me up. And so he explained to me at one point, I think it's also comes down to a little bit of an ego thing as well. I think a lot of people think that they should be able to do it on their own. And like I said, like, I've taken a nutrition course. I'm a nurse. Like, I help people take care of themselves, but I still wasn't able to apply it to myself. And so that's when I needed that extra accountability and a coach to help guide me through that process. And it also just takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. It's a lot easier for us to tell other people what to do, but it's harder for us to make our own adjustments. And because you have to remember, there's going to be times where, like, let's throw an example. Let's say, hit, and I keep using the word plateau, but like, let's say we hit a plateau, and it's easier for me to help somebody else figure out what they need for the plateau versus me. You're going to always have that, the one person on your shoulder saying like, oh, cut calories more, like, oh, just, work out harder, cut your calories. And the other person saying, oh, actually, here's some better things we could do instead. But you're always gonna have to decide between those two, versus if you have a coach that tells you, hey, do this, then it takes the guesswork out of it. I don't have to think about it. I just do what they tell me to do. And of course, they're going to ask me for my input and I can tell them what I think I should do. And they'll either, confirm that or say, how about we try this instead? But my first coach told me later on, you don't get bonus points for doing this on your own. like a lot of us, again, it goes back to that ego piece where we may think like, I can do this, I can do this, I don't need anybody's help. But like at the end of the journey, basically, and there really is no end of the journey, but when you get to your goal, who's asking, oh, but did you hire a coach? Oh, it doesn't count. You didn't do this on your own. No. They just want to see if you did it. And it's amazing. Nobody's asking how you did it, or they may ask you how you did it, but they don't care whether or not it was with a coach or not. And also, I forget who it was that I heard this analogy from. I wish I could give him some credit. But basically I heard this amazing analogy once where it's like coaching is like flying versus driving to your destination. So think about it like as if we're going to Disney World and we're all excited about going to Disney World, we're going to get there a lot faster if we fly, right? I mean, from driving from Colorado or Grand Rapids, Michigan, like it's me a long drive to get there. Probably gonna have a lot of speed bumps, some traffic, and who knows what else going along the way. So flying is a much quicker route where you get to skip over a lot of all that traffic. You get to skip over the speed bumps. You get to skip over the speed limits and things like that. Like you don't have to worry about all these things. Sure, you may have some turbulence and things like that along the way, but it's going to still be that straight shot versus having to take a million different detours along the way. Either way, you're going to get there. You're just going to get there a lot quicker and with a lot less stress when you're flying or working with a coach.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah, I like that.
What do you think, Erica?
All right. So when your clients come to you and they're like, they've been on all this, like the hamster wheel, right? I've been there. I had to get myself a coach because of that. It's like a mental game of always having, after Victoria, I was always like, I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. It was always like a quick, like, I only lost like a couple pounds. It's not like I had to lose a lot, but it was like just that mental game for me.
Mm-hmm.
So when your clients come to you, like when you're starting the process with them and they've been on the cycle, like how do you start your clients on those kind of, like, I just come off of this Optavia and like, I mean, I have clients that have been on it. I have a lot of ladies that have been on it in my group and they've lost a lot of weight and then they stopped doing it. And now they're struggling, right? Because the weight's coming back on. So mentally, how do you work with them to get them back to, like, I guess that I'm okay, it's okay, like I got to move forward where we're at and just get to that my goal.
So it's gonna be a little bit of a different perspective from person to person, of course.
Right.
But I think it's first, recognizing that you aren't the problem, the diet was. So I think that's first, you need to just realize that. I think a lot of people put the blame on themselves and we automatically think that, oh, Optavia works for all these people, but it didn't work for me. I'm the problem. It's not the case though. So I think first you need to take that pressure off of yourself and realizing like, hey, it's okay that I failed at this. This isn't a sustainable method for losing weight. Sure, it might work for the 1%, but for the 99%, it doesn't. And so first, just acknowledging that and clearing that off of your mind of like that you're the failure in this process because you're not. And then secondly, we need to start looking at a couple of things like relationship with food. Where is that currently at? And how can we start working on that? We need to start looking at fueling yourself properly, and whether that's going through like the reverse dieting process, working calories back up. A lot of clients that come from that work with me are coming from overeating backgrounds. So we have to start working on actually working calories, like the opposite of reverse diet, working them down. But just establishing some sort of consistency where you're at currently. I feel like a lot of times people, no matter what end of the spectrum you're coming from, whether it is low calorie or high calorie, a lot of times we just don't have any consistency with inside of that. So what we're seeing a lot of times is the calories are up and down, up and down, up and down. There's no consistency whatsoever. So what I like to do first is like, I have my clients, I go through an awareness week, like just much like I'm sure you guys do as well. Like a first week of like, let's just see where you're at. Like I just tell them, I want you to track everything that you're eating as you have been for, the past couple of months. Don't change everything. Because a lot of people, when they first start working with a coach, it's like, oh, I'm working with a coach, I need to eat better. Like, no, this first week, I just want to see how you've been eating all along.
Yeah.
Don't switch, from the chips to the broccoli all of a sudden just because you're working with a coach. I need to
I
see
know,
how much,
like, don't try to make me see something that you weren't doing. And yeah,
exactly. Don't
think
eat what
that's
you
what I
think
want.
I want to see. Like
Yeah.
I want to see what you're actually eating, because then we can start setting some realistic goals for yourself. If I think you've been eating 2,000 calories every day and I'm like, oh, great, that's actually where we should be at. Perfect. Let's continue that. But actually you've been eating 3,000 calories every day for the past couple months. I don't want to drop your calories 1,000 calories every night. Same other way. If you've been eating 1,000 calories every day and I think you're eating 2,000, I'm gonna be like, oh, cool, then keep eating 2,000, where that's now taking you up 1,000 calories every single day. So we need to figure out where your baseline is right now, so we can start setting some consistency there. Then we can start building either up or down closer to where we should be, but we can't make that jump overnight.
Yeah.
Another thing I like to mention is like removing the timeline from this. A lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I want to lose this weight by the end of the year, or 6 months, 3 months, whatever it may be. And I'm like, just remove that timeline altogether, because we have to realize, like, if you've been struggling to lose weight for the past 5, 10, 15 years, 30 years, some people, then I don't think we're going to lose this within 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. It's going to take some time. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take you 15 years if you've been working on this for 15 years. It's not. But we do have to realize that if we remove the timeline altogether, set some realistic expectations with ourselves, then it's going to be a lot easier journey. And so I think that's one of the first couple steps that I really take with my clients, is establishing where we're currently at, where do we need to get to, setting those clear expectations. And that way we're not setting ourselves up for failure throughout the process, and getting a better understanding of like what changes, like what are the big red flags that we need to address first, and kind of start working on those firsthand, and just kind of working down the chart, basically.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. I think one of the, so when you started your journey, I mean, a lot of people always think that, because they'll be given, of course, those, diets out there, and it's just like they're told 1,200 calories, like, because a lot of our clients probably, for me and Erica that come to us, most of them are under eating a lot of the time, a lot of the times. So it's like they think that's just an okay thing, obviously, and when you went to and you were doing your program, by yourself, and then you went to the and hired a coach, what were like some of the big aha moments that you were like, whoa, I thought that was right? Or, like I thought, I was like eating, and there was certain things that, we see because we see it in on YouTube, we see it all over the place. Everything that the media, that social media is throwing at us. We think all these things are good. What were some of the things that you believed that you might have thought was the right things, and then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, that's not really it, because I think there's just a lot of misinformation out there, and people are so stuck on that, and it's sometimes hard to get them to shift that mindset.
I think some of the couple things that come to my mind is like, first, like that you don't have to be on any specific named diet, or doing something that has a name, or eating or drinking some sort of product. Like this all is gonna come down to just creating awareness around what you're currently doing, and creating some calorie control inside of your own routine. That I feel like a lot of people feel like you need to be on keto, or on intermittent fasting, or on Whole30, or Herbalife, or whatever it may be. Like when you name all the things, like, people think they need to be on something with a name to it. Like, I mean, think about it. Like anyone who's ever on a diet, you're like, oh, what are you doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's the first question somebody asks. And it's like, that's not the question we should be asking. Like you should be doing the Victoria plan, the Erica plan. Like we should not be doing like anything with a specific name to it, because those are just cookie cutters. They aren't going to really work for our routine. So I think that was one of the biggest things, is just learning like how to control my calories, understanding like what macronutrients were, why they're important, how, importance of protein, like all these things that like are all the boring things that a lot of people are like, no, I don't really care about. Like, actually, those are the things we should care about. Those are the important things that are actually going to matter in the day to day, not the whatever the next diet I need to work on. Another thing that kind of sticks out to me in my head is the really like kind of the epiphany moment, a moment that I had that basically reminded me that like you can't screw this up. I always tell this story about the time when this was about 6 months into my journey in 2019. I was at work, and I was actually leaving my work and going to another job, and my coworkers threw a big party for me for going away. And I had a big plate of food, enjoyed it, then went back for another plate of food, enjoyed it, then went back for the brownies, then I went back for the cookies, then a piece of cake. And like, I just felt like I overate a ton that day. And I left that day thinking, this is it. It's over. I fucked up. Sorry, I hope it's okay to
You're
cuss
fine.
on here, but like
I mean, you felt like that, so
yes, exactly. Like I've
Well, it's
screwed it
true.
all up now. So like it's just I was so frustrated like with myself, and it's just like all the negative self-talk, like, see, you can't do this, you fail at this every single year, you can't do this. All that negative self-talk started coming in. And I actually ended up texting again, he wasn't my coach in the moment, but like who ended up being my coach later that year. I texted him and I was like, hey, like I screwed up. Like I ate all the food. I've just ruined my entire diet. Like it's done. I knew I could do this. And he said, did you enjoy it? I was like, yeah, in the moment it is. And now I feel really guilty about it, but I enjoyed it. Yeah. He was like, great. Back at it tomorrow.
yeah.
No progress lost.
Yeah.
And it sounds like such a small, like little thing, but like in that moment, it was just that one like light bulb moment that I was like, oh, no progress is ever lost just by one bad day of eating.
Yeah.
So as long as you get back on track, and that's when I started, that's what I talk to my clients a lot about now is it's not the event itself that is ever going to affect your progress. It's how you react to that event that is going to affect your progress. You can either sit there and dwell in it and be upset with yourself and continue that downward spiral until you are completely off your diet forever. Or you can say, that was really good in the moment. It's not what I normally do. We're back at it today.
Yeah.
I love that, because I was talking to one of my clients the other day, and it was, I don't know, she finally got into a jersey that last year didn't fit her. And she's like, Erica, she's like, I love this. She's like, I love this program. She's like, and you're always encouraging me. It's okay to have a bad day. We just move on. And she says, I mean, because she has a very high stress job. She's in HR, all that kind of stuff. So she's like, just having that extra encouragement, like, it's okay to have a bad day. And she's like, yeah, I had that cookie or had that piece of cake. And she's like, I felt okay with it because of your encouragement. So, I mean, that made me like feel very proud.
Yeah.
Yay.
I mean,
That's a good one.
and that's the importance. I mean, like and that's another like great thing of having a coach. And like, it's so nice to have someone just be able to bounce those initial thoughts, feelings, and emotions off of somebody to either validate them or have somebody challenge those thoughts. Because without that coach, you're probably more willing to go down that rabbit hole of all the negativity versus someone be like, oh, hold up, let's think about it this way instead.
Yeah. And then it keeps people too from, hiding it. You don't want people they'll pretend. And, it used to be it was always that thing that said, okay, I'm giving them all these things and they're telling me they're doing these things, but you're not seeing any progress. And you're going like, yeah, they probably had a few more days of just enjoyment and fun. It's okay. And I'm always like, okay, it's okay. Super Bowl just passed. I hope you enjoyed it, had fun. I, had wings. I had potatoes, I did too. And that's one of the things I think a lot of my clients always say that they're glad that I don't sit there and try to portray myself on Facebook that I'm like eating everything perfect. And no, I'll show you when I'm eating. And I don't mind. I enjoy food, but I also know, how to manage kind of my normal day to day. And I think if you give people that feeling of breathe, it's okay. It's okay. You have a birthday party. You should be able to enjoy life, and it shouldn't be something that you feel like you have to be embarrassed about to admit to that you ate at something extra. And you see that a lot. You see that a lot with people, and because then they try to like apologize or like try to, or like, I'm only taking this. And I'm like, no, whatever, and I think when as coaches, we're able to say, it's okay. What are we doing tomorrow? Wait till Friday. Because I always tell people on the weekend, it's that weekend, you have a great weekend. Monday, don't weigh yourself. Wait till Friday, get back on it. I guarantee Friday, you'll be fine. And I think it's just giving them a little bit of it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that like, and that brings up a good point. I've definitely had a lot of clients in the past before that, again, like you mentioned, like they'll maybe not want to tell me that they had the extra slice of cake, or they had maybe they did have a night when they like were just upset with whatever the emotions are going on for the day and they ate the whole pizza, like whatever it be. Like I tell them, I'm like, one, it's not affecting me. So don't feel bad. Like you have to tell
Yeah.
me or anything like that. I mean, honestly, like some people like they feel like, well, I don't want to disappoint him. Right. Like it's not
Mhm.
disappointing me.
Yeah.
I need to know these things because again, like we can't solve a problem that we're not aware of. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the importance of taking that extreme ownership of your actions. Because if you don't take ownership and if you don't put the problems out in front of you, you're never going to know what to fix. If you're telling me you're eating salads every single meal 7 days a week and the scale's not moving, we need to talk. Like we need to figure out, all right, like then, and now sometimes I'll even put it on them. Well, then what do you think it is? What do
Yeah.
you think the problem is? And they're like, well, I did go out and have drinks with some friends the other night. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, that's awesome. Like, did you
As
have a
long as
good
you're
time?
aware. Yeah.
Sweet. Let's talk about that. Is that just one time a week? Okay, cool. What else has happened? Why, let's say that didn't happen. What else could be causing that? And so you have to start asking questions out of curiosity. And really, it all comes back down to people think that we're going to judge them or they feel frustrated with themselves. And like I mentioned earlier, when you have a bad day, if and part of that sitting in it and dwelling it is also part of not telling your coach what's going on. You need to learn how to tell them what's going on so then we can figure out like how we can fix that. How can we solve that and prevent that from happening again next time? And so it all goes back to taking ownership of your actions and being okay with them and understanding that one set of bad actions and a bad day is not going to reflect on the rest of your entire journey.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that because I have a client too. It's when she's filling out her little biofeedback, and I was like, she was just telling me like, I had a lot of food because I had a lot of company and blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, I don't know if you'll notice, but the scale is up and my inches are up. And I'm like, okay, it's
Yeah.
okay. Like you had a lot going on. Let's just clear the plate and just
Start
start
over.
over and don't. And I'm like, you're a little too hard on yourself sometimes too. So like, let's just back it up.
Yeah. I had one client that actually told me the failure thing. She just said, I'm so sorry. She goes, I fail you all the time. Like putting it, and no, you didn't fail me. And you didn't, it's that talking through that like you said, it's not me that I'm here for you type of thing, and let's talk through that and figure out what simple little thing can we move forward with. And then let's just have a win on those things first. And
Mhm.
yeah, and I think people feel like read somewhere, I don't know who we were talking to somebody or something. They were talking, or maybe it was some post or something about how it's society. We've all gotten to that point where if it's not painful, it's not working. If it doesn't suck, it's not working. And we were talking about that earlier. It's like, everybody wants us to give them like all of these rules and what they cannot do. And you got to have a little, it's that no pain, no gain. And I'm like, get rid of that. That's not how it works. That's not, you don't have to suffer through it, because if you do, you're not going to stick with it. It's just not going to be something you're going to want to stay with. And you will get to that point where you're like, I'm done.
Yeah, that's just like the meal plan things. Like we used to be big into the meal plan things, and I'm like, no, I'm not telling you what to eat anymore. No, like my coach doesn't tell me what to eat, and I like that. Like my biggest struggle, and Victoria knows, a lot of ladies know, like when I finally decided to hire a coach, I was like, and she told me it was okay to like have that piece of birthday cake with my daughter, like that I hadn't had in years, and I felt okay. I didn't have to go work out hard the next day. Like that was like a lift off my shoulders. Like, okay, move on. And
Yeah.
people can,
And really like, and giving somebody a meal plan is almost doing them a disservice, because I explain to clients a lot of times, I'm like, sure, I could tell you exactly what to eat and you'll lose weight. Absolutely. But what happens when you go to have lunch and you look down at it and I say tilapia and rice, you're like, ugh, tilapia, I hate tilapia. I could be the coach is like, well, guess what? That's your meal plan for the day. That's what you have to eat.
Yeah.
You're not going to stick to that at all.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that old saying of, give a man a fish he eats for a day, teach a man a fish he eats for a lifetime. Like that's what we're looking for. Is I want to teach you how to eat. Like, sure, I'll give you examples and I can help you kind of like look at structuring the meal and give you some ideas and things like that. Or, what I love is like a client brings takes a picture of their plate of food and sends it to me, or like tells me exactly what they're having. And then I'm like, all right, cool. Let's break this down. Do we have our macros in there? How can we make this a little better? Where would I tweak it? Or, hey, this looks like a fantastic meal. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I'd rather you have the tools you need, because what happens when the meal plan's gone? Like,
Mhm.
let's say we work together for 6 months to a year and I write meal plans every month. What about the first day you're by yourself? What about the day when you get off of work and your buddy's like, hey, let's grab a beer? What about the birthday party that you weren't planning on having the cake because I didn't write it in your plan, but now you really want a piece, and your daughter's looking at you saying, mommy, why can't you have a piece of cake?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, find something that's going to work for you in your routine, not something super restrictive, because restriction's not the answer for this. That's a part of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that.
I think it's a whole, I don't know. It just seems like for me, I think maybe since I've shifted over, because like Erica said, that was our thing. You're telling everybody exactly what they need to do rather
Mhm.
than
Well, we were even doing that. Like
We
we
were
would
doing
have
that,
the meal
yeah.
plan too. Like
it
we
was like,
needed it too.
what I need. And you get caught up in that. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that really, it works. And, I have people still messaging me, hey, is that 21-day belly blast program that we used to do? And I was like, no, it's not. It's a set up plan. And I'm going like, half the time it wasn't enough food. We had all these people doing this one set plan. Some were doing great, others weren't. Wondering why? Probably because they weren't eating enough, and it's like we're all individual, and we are all in the same kind of program where we know that's it. It's all about each person, where you're at, what you're willing to do, without us having to sit there and say, no, 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 and just pointing the finger and saying what, telling you exactly. And I think that's the biggest mind shift that, getting people to understand is that your diet, when I talk diet, I always go with diet, it's what you do every day. Your
Yep.
diet is how you eat. It's not a start and stop. It is exactly what you're putting into your body. So,
Yep.
well, awesome. So I don't know, what are some 3 pointers that maybe 3 tips that you would give to somebody who is maybe, struggling with some of the things like how you did and what to look for and going, okay, I may need to hire a coach.
Or talk
It's
to a
going
coach.
to take
Like
some talk to a coach. Just be able to encourage them to stay in it for the long haul, that this isn't a start and stop. It's something. I mean, you've got new goals right now, and you get to do your first powerlifting in 3 weeks.
Yeah. I think, that we can kind of touch on that like first, like, I think it's important to realize that your goals can shift over time. I think that, if I look back at my entire journey, it went from, hey, I'm going to lose as much weight as I can or first started, I'm going to win this competition. Then it was, I'm going to lose as much weight as I can. Then it was, hey, I'm going to start working on getting stronger. Then it was, I'm going to maintain my weight. Then it was, I'm going to focus on weight loss again. Then I'm going to work on a repair my relationship with food. Then it's going to work on getting stronger. Now I'm working on getting stronger for a meet. Like, it's like these goals have shifted all the time. And I think a lot of people, they almost think like they can't change. It's like, I'm locked into a certain goal. And it's, again, you're doing yourself a disservice if you decide that if you are very strict with your goals and won't change them. You need to be flexible, because what is most important for you in the moment? Like for me in the moment, like, yes, right now I'm not happy with my body composition and I want to lose weight, but that is not my goal right now. My main goal is fueling my body with enough food so I can get as strong as I can, so I can put up the numbers I want to on meet day. Like, your goals have to shift over time, and that's totally okay. We have a plan to cut after the meet's done with. So I think it's important to first, like, realize your goals can change over time. Secondly, I would say, doing some sort of mindset related work. I know that's a very big umbrella like phrase there, but like, whether that is like seeing a therapist, or that is meditation, journaling, I'm just like working on shifting your identity to who you want to become versus like, just like dwelling in who you used to be. Like doing some sort of the inner work, and like a lot of that is done through coaching. I know that's something like the main thing I work on with my clients is like, how can we shift your identity? How can we start working on that mindset? Because if we don't fix that foundation first, no matter what pretty house we build on top of it, it's all going to come crumbling back down if we don't fix that first. So address the foundation, fix your mindset there. And then lastly, if I had to say like one more piece of advice, I would say just keep it stupid simple. Like this entire process, you mentioned earlier how, the no pain, no gain thing. Like my goal is to make this as boring as I possibly can for my clients. And like I've had clients come to me before and they're like, I just feel like I'm not even doing nothing. I feel bored almost with this. I'm like, that's amazing. You're bored and you're losing weight. Fantastic. That's exactly what we want. So I want this to be super simple. Don't stress all the fancy things out there. Like, yes, you walk through the grocery aisle, the checkout, and you see on the Women's World magazine that like lose 50 pounds by, by July 4th, whatever it is. Like you see all these things out there. Put on your blinders, stay in your own lane. Don't compare yourself to others, and you will get to your goal as long as you are able to remain consistent and focus towards your goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I love those. It's our
Awesome.
goal of life. It's our
Yeah.
seasons of life that we go through. I like
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Exactly. I think that was a big one, shifting that. And I'm still learning that, with the different seasons that, we have to, no matter what our goal is, it's not about like me and Erica have our triffic competition. So if we were going to be doing that this year, we would be in our pre-season right now.
Yeah.
And then, wait,
March.
pre-season?
Yeah, March.
Yeah, then we go into in season, and then we have our competition, and then postseason, and then off season.
Yeah.
And we have those because you have that set like competition, like for you doing that competition. But everybody has that no matter what, even if you're, it's kind of like, well, I think there was an example. I think it was one of the guinea pig things about the accountant. That's a season, what's going on in your life. You got to look at what's going on in your life. And then we focus on, setting your, your whole thing. Like you said, sometimes it's just simple things like water. Just drink water. It's boring, but it works.
Yep.
So anyways, well, thank you, Chase. This has been awesome. It's been a pleasure.
Where can everybody find you at, Chase?
Yeah. So best places, Instagram at changing_Chase. The link in the bio there has a lot of all other stuff, but I love my podcast. It's probably my favorite thing right now to work on, the Chasing Health podcast.
Okay.
You can find a lot of things on the website too, chasinghealthllc.com.
Okay. Well,
All right. Well, we'll post those in there too. So
well, we appreciate your time.
thank you so much. And hopefully
Thank you all.
we'll be back in Colorado one day.
I hope so.
Yeah, close. All right, but we'll see you soon, probably. And are you going to Coaching Co?
Hoping to. Yep. That's the goal.
Perfect.
All right. Well,
All right. Well, thanks, ladies.
Thank you, ladies,
All
for joining us.